Welcome to the Jeremy and Andy Talk Movies podcast. I'm Jeremy.
I'm Andy.
And Andy, have you ever been driving down the road and been looking at your phone and then suddenly looked up and felt like you're about to get in a crash and saved yourself at the last second?
I've always wondered if that was not Keanu Reeves who was helping me get through those situations.
Yeah, and it turns out it probably was.
Yeah.
But you know,
Yep. I'm glad that got confirmed.
almost every time something works out in my life, I tend to attribute it to Keanu Reeves. So
Yeah. Yeah. So this movie proves that that is correct.
So this week we are talking about Good Fortune. It's a new comedy from Aziz Ansari and starring Keanu Reeves, as we mentioned. And so I'm going to give a summary of what this movie's about, and then we'll jump into our thoughts about the movie. So just when Arj is ready to give up on his life, he is visited by Gabriel, an angel who is looking to prove he can do more to help people. In an attempt to teach Arj a lesson about valuing what he has, he switches Arj's life for the life of a rich VC named Jeff. Only the lesson backfires as Arj and Jeff both vastly prefer the rich versions of themselves. Andy, was this
Yeah.
movie good?
I enjoyed this movie. This movie is like comedy is probably my least favorite genre I've talked about before. It's like the hardest genre to make me happy. And so this movie just kind of fell in that nice zone where it was certainly not bad. It's better than it's too good to be on my just mid of the year list. It's certainly not going to be on my top of the year list, but it just kind of fell in that little zone of like, you know what, that was a pretty decent little movie.
Andy, you like football a little bit. You've probably
Yeah,
heard the
my boys
term.
played
You
for.
probably heard the term for a quarterback, a game manager. Game
Yeah.
manager is a quarterback who you put in. You're like, he's just going to make smart decisions. He's going to take care of the ball. He's not going to turn it over. He's not going to make spectacular plays. He's just going to
Hmm.
manage the game. This movie is a textbook game manager. It's not
Yeah,
going to rise above expectations, but it's not going to disappoint either. It just does
yeah,
what it has to do.
exactly. Yeah, it's like I said. It just, I mean, we're saying the same thing just in different ways. It just kind of fell into that spot for me of like, you know what, that was a pleasant movie. And typically, I feel like I would be like, a lot of times my reaction to comedies is like to lash out like Happy Gilmore 2 or something. Be like, that was so stupid and juvenile, and I just got so sick of the same joke over and over again. And this is, so far above that.
Yes. So in our previous episode of the Black Phone 2, I said it'd been a while since we had complained about movie trailers giving too much away, and I'm going to keep that trend going in this one. I
Yeah.
think this movie has, and this one I blame maybe slightly less because you do have to explain a little bit about what a movie's about in a trailer. And this movie, I think the best part about it is it's a funny premise, uh,
Yeah.
but they have to kind of tell you the whole funny premise in the trailer. So when you go in, you know exactly what you're getting. Um,
Yeah.
and so like I do think it's a very clever premise, this idea of that it's something that's been done in a lot of movies, this vision of your life if it's another way or if you have somebody else's life, and that makes you appreciate it. And I love Keanu as just sort of this dopey angel who's like so innocently believes that somebody would see this vision and value their own life more, and the backfire of
Yeah.
that. And the
Yeah,
best,
it's
yeah, the best line of the movie is in the trailer. It's when Keanu's talking to his boss Angel, and he's like, "I wanted to show him that money wouldn't solve all his problems." And she's like, "And?" He's like, "It seems to have solved all of his problems." And
I know it's great.
yeah,
But yeah, it's kind of interesting that we've done two movies tonight, and we think both of them, really fell victim to the trailers just giving away way too much. I mean, if you'd have just told me like a comedy written by Aziz Ansari and Keanu Reeves is an angel, I'd have been like, oh, cool, I'll probably check that out.
yeah, that I really honestly would have sold it for me. I think the it showed that the studio didn't have a lot of faith in this movie. You
Hmm.
know, I guess I understand why. Like Aziz Ansari and Seth Rogen, while still are relevant people, they're not
Hmm.
they're not at like the peak of their fame. Like there was a stretch for a good like 10 years there where you throw Seth Rogen on a poster and it's going to be a big movie. Where
Yeah.
Aziz probably 10 years ago or so was at the height of like doing stand up and had his own show on Netflix, and of course he was popular from Parks and Rec and all of that.
Yeah.
It's just been a little
Yeah, he
while.
had a lot of goodwill from Parks and Rec.
Yeah, and then Keanu's kind of the biggest name in this movie, and everyone's probably like, well, yeah, Keanu, but as long as he's being John Wick, he's opening movies, but nothing
Yeah.
else. So like this was a clear case of the studio being like, do we have something that will sell here? We better make sure by showing people exactly what they're going to get.
It's a really interesting point though, because you're right. Like so many times these movies, it's all about when it hits at certain points in people's career. Because in one way or another, all three of those guys you just talked about are and have been big stars. But yeah, they're all kind of at a weird point in their career. And we have no history with like, oh, and Aziz Ansari wrote this movie. Like we don't have a big history with that to draw us in. So it's tricky.
Yeah. One of my first notes about this movie is that it is very clear that Aziz Ansari wrote this movie. It is his sense of humor, and so
It is.
right off the bat, if people are like, "Hey, would I like this movie?" I would just ask them like, "Well, do you like Aziz Ansari? Do you find him funny?" And if people are like, "Yeah," I'd be like, "Well, then you're gonna like this movie because it's very much
Exactly.
his type of humor." If you don't, probably not for you. Maybe the most apparent place that it was that he wrote this movie is the fact that every character in this movie only calls chicken nuggets chicken nuggies.
Oh my gosh.
And it's
that is straight. That is Tom from Parks and Rec.
it is, and it's weird hearing other people say it. I don't even think his character says it. It's like Seth Rogen says it first, then Keanu says it a bunch of times, and hearing Keanu Reeves say chicken nuggies is just really
it's
it's
really
funny.
Like it honestly is.
It almost feels like Aziz more having fun on set than like thinking it's gonna be funny in the movie. Like him being like, "Hey, think I can get Keanu to just say chicken nuggies a whole bunch of times?"
Yeah, for sure. And I'll just say this. I don't know if this really fits into what you're saying, but I think a lot of my complaint with the comedies we get anymore is I think so many times they would work so much better as like some kind of short film, like a 20 to 30 minute film. Because so many times, comedy obviously is just so dependent on whatever premise we have come up with. And, I guess it's just like anything. Like there's just so much mileage you can get out of these different things. So that's my complaint with most comedies is the longer they go on, kind of the funny just wears off a little bit. And this movie's not immune to that, I don't think. Like, this whole idea of like Keanu as an angel, it's like, oh man, that's really funny. But then it's, the whole movie.
Yeah.
And same thing where it's like you said, like it's so dependent on whether you like Aziz Ansari's style of comedy. If you do, that's great. And I don't know how many people are just like diehard Aziz Ansari fans. So like even if you just like, oh, I thought he was funny on Parks and Rec, the humor of this movie might wear out kind of quickly for you.
Yeah. Yeah. This movie is it's also not it doesn't feel like it's going for big laughs. Like it doesn't have big gags or anything. It's played like actually pretty mellow, and I shouldn't say seriously. It's played as a comedy, but like for a movie about an angel switching people's lives, like it's almost like they tried to keep it pretty grounded.
Yeah.
And yeah, it has that feel of a movie where all the people in it were kind of like, hey, let's just hang out and make a movie. Yeah, I've got an idea. Let's just do this. And that's probably what actually is, I would say, the best thing going for this movie is it is sort of just a hangout movie. And if you like just kind of hanging out with these guys, you're going to enjoy the experience.
Yeah, and to me that kind of felt like the Seth Rogen influence. Because that's kind of the draw when he was at his height of just like, whether it's like 40-Year-Old Virgin, Knocked Up, even like Pineapple Express, like had a gimmick. But a lot of it was just the humor of like Seth Rogen interacting with these like his buddies, basically.
Yeah.
This is the end. Like literally is just a movie again that has a gimmick, but it's basically just Rogen and McBride and all those guys just hanging out and just riffing on each other. So my point is like what you're saying. I agree with, and that feels very Seth Rogen-y to me.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And his character is basically just Seth Rogen. Like they don't really do a whole lot to develop his character other than like, hey, just be very Seth Rogen-y.
Which, it kind of can be a complaint about a lot of Seth Rogen roles. Like he's just Seth Rogen.
Yeah, he doesn't really disappear into the character. Except
No, it's not. It's not.
of course, his famous turn as the Green Hornet, where he just disappeared into that role, and
Oh
I
man,
think he was Oscar nominated, wasn't it?
yeah, what a success that was.
I think even Seth Rogen's forgot that he made that movie.
I think Seth Rogen wants us all to forget he made that movie.
That's right. I genuinely did really like Keanu in this movie. Of course,
Oh, me too.
You know, we're coming off of a Tron Ares review where I talked about the difference between Jared Leto and Keanu Reeves and how Keanu is just naturally likable. Which, by the way, I put a little clip out of me talking about that on Instagram. It is the most successful clip we've ever had by far. And I realized people just really love to just rail on Leto. Like so many comments of people going on to talk about how much they hate Leto. So,
Dude, I've had so many Instagram reels where it's just people. Did you see the one where Leto like did a like surprise the screening of Tron Ares and there's like nobody in the
Yes.
theater?
yes, I did.
It's painful to watch.
Yeah.
It's really rough.
Yeah, you said on that episode, is Leto just done? And I'm like, yeah, I think this is all showing.
I think
that,
he might
yes,
be.
He's just done. But yeah, so Keanu, it's I could see how like people might think that it's sort of a tired joke over and over again in this because he just again playing the dopey, kind of dim-witted angel. But I just laughed every time. Almost everything he said made me laugh in this movie. And
There's just Keanu's just a one of one. I mean, there's just nobody like him, and like it's been debated to death, like whether he's even a good actor or not. But like, it's amazing how he just carved out this spot in Hollywood history of like he gets by, you know, he coasts through these roles by just like being the most like chill, laid back person ever. And at this stage in his career and his life, I don't blame him for leaning into it.
yeah, so maybe my favorite moment of the movie is when he goes to visit Kiki Palmer's character and she's doing the meeting for the union. He just jumps in and starts doing this speech, and it is just completely ridiculous as he's talking. Like at first he's like agreeing with her, and then he starts talking about dogs and having health care for them and dogs, and it's so dumb. And then at the end she's like, "What department do you work in?" And he's like, "Oh, I don't work here. Should I not be here?" And it's so nobody else would make that funny, but Keanu doing it for some reason makes it so funny.
Dude, also my favorite part of the movie.
Great.
And you're 100% right. Anyone else, and it's not even kind of funny.
Right.
Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, he is a one of one. Like, he's a unicorn. There's just nobody else like him.
Yes. He's so funny. And
It's really funny.
you gotta love a guy who just doesn't take himself very seriously. So, you know,
Yeah.
here he is. He's John Wick, famous for being like the coolest guy on the planet, and he doesn't mind being like, "Oh, I'm gonna play like this dopey, like least capable angel." Oh, sure, yeah, why not?
It's really good. Sorry, I just yawned there.
Totally okay.
And yeah, like, I don't even know what to add. Like, it's just something that nobody else could do.
Yeah. So one thing I did think was the little bit of a twist on the traditional story of body switching and whatnot, is, you know, he's got to convince Aziz Ansari to switch back with Jeff.
Yeah.
And then it turns out like he can't just say it; he's got to actually want it. And I was like, oh, this is the first time where I'm like, that's interesting. I wonder how they're going to pull this off and make him want it, because they've done a pretty good job of explaining, like, actually, it's just kind of nice to have things and money and not have worries and all of that, which is all pretty true. And I was actually pretty glad they didn't go overboard with that. This was not a billionaires are evil movie like it seems like we get all the time now.
Yes.
And I wondered if Seth Rogen clearly doesn't mind playing the hateable character in order to lampoon a type of person. That's what he just did in The Studio for a whole season, was play a studio head where he just made fun of how much actors, you know, everybody in Hollywood hates studio heads apparently, and so he was playing the biggest buffoon as a studio head. So he doesn't mind doing that. And so I totally expected that as his character. I was like, he's playing the rich guy. He's going to be the, you know, he's going to be the worst in this movie. And he wasn't. It's like, hey, he's just going to be an okay guy too. And you know, he learns his own lessons about how to treat people better by the end, of course. But I don't know. It was interesting that it didn't go a way that I thought it was going to go in that regard.
Yeah, and all that stuff worked, I thought. Like they just like you said, they didn't go so far over the top where it's like, oh gee, now I'm just the most swell guy in the world and by gosh, I learned my lesson. They didn't do all that and hit us over the head with it and stuff. So yeah, and that's what I mean. Like this is certainly better than just middle of the road, you know, but I don't know, just I don't know if it's just me with comedy. I don't know what it is. Like there's just a ceiling to these kind of movies that, you know, the best compliment I can pay it is that it just about hit that ceiling.
Yeah. Uh, Comedies are for you what horror movies are for me, Andy. They're
Yeah.
just like, yep,
Yeah, they really are. And it's funny. I don't know why it is. I just don't, but
yeah. Uh, Maybe my biggest complaint about the movie, and it's not really even a complaint about the movie. It's just this is kind of typical in a lot of movies, especially comedies, especially guy comedies. Uh, Kiki Palmer, I think, is a really talented actress. Can be really
yeah.
funny herself. She does not have much to do in this movie other than be
No.
the love interest for Aziz Ansari, which, um, you know, I don't know. I just in a comedy with Kiki Palmer, let her be funny more.
Yeah. Yeah, she's good. She's in Nope, right? Jordan Peele's Nope.
Yeah,
Yeah, and like she's really good in that movie. And like this is someone with a lot of personality and like Jordan Peele, you know, in Nope did a great job of letting that shine through. And yeah, that would be definitely my number one complaint about this movie is she is so wasted.
yeah.
I honestly like after Nope, I really was like, "Oh man, like she's going to be huge." And it just hasn't worked very well, I don't think, since then. But yes, this is a big waste of her.
Yeah, she was in the movie One of Them Days earlier this year, which kind of went under the radar, and I watched with very low expectations, but came out of it going like that was way better than I thought. And the main reason was Kiki Palmer. I was like, she really
Yeah,
carried
she's
that movie. And
good.
she was so funny in that movie and so fun. So yeah, like after seeing her like that, a comedy that features her and plays to her strengths, and then you see her in something like this, and you go like, you know, like it's again, it's not surprising, and it's a common problem, I think, or common complaint in movies like this, where it's a movie written
Hmm.
by Aziz Ansari, and he's writing all these funny parts, and then he just writes a part for a love interest for himself, and
Yeah.
he's not thinking that's a part that's going to be really funny and stand out, and then because he casts somebody who's way too qualified for that part, and somebody who, when you see their name and or them and their talent, you go like, well, they're way too qualified for this part.
Yeah, she's way overqualified. And it's like we were saying, like only Keanu could play the part that he plays. Felt like anybody could have played this part. Like
Yes.
literally anybody.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's very disappointing.
Yeah. Uh, so I don't know. Like as much as I'm probably saying like I enjoyed this movie and it was fun hangout. I do wonder like, do I need more Aziz content? Like, did I leave this going like, yeah, Aziz, like write more movies and come up with more stories? And it's like, I mean, I guess if he does it again, I'll be interested. But it wasn't one that was like, yeah, I need more Aziz produced stuff.
Yeah, this wasn't like even when Seth Rogen broke out, you know, like his breakout probably what like 40-year-old virgin.
Yeah.
You know, even though that was a Steve Carell movie, that was a movie that left you going like, "Oh, I want more of this." Obviously, because then he had that big run where he was really successful and yeah, I don't know that this movie really accomplishes that for Aziz Ansari, which is too bad. I mean, he does seem very likable and I love Parks and Rec and all that, but I don't know that it left me longing for more, you know, Aziz Ansari content.
Yeah. And part of it is it. I really don't mean this to be an insult, but it's just sort of the way it is. Aziz is a great supporting player. It's a little
Hmm.
different when he's your guy throughout the movie. That said, I do think it was very interesting how this movie. I mean, early in the movie, it is very much a Aziz movie. It really shifts for a while and
It
it
shifts.
focuses with
Yeah.
Seth Rogen and Keanu Reeves. And I was like, I thought that was a strong decision by the movie. So you didn't get too tired of Aziz. You kind of like he went away and you got to miss him for a little bit, you know.
Well, that does make you wonder if that's part of the reason why people look back on him so fondly for Parks and Rec, because he was just a supporting guy on there.
Yeah. And he could come in and be big and steal scenes and then just go away for a
And then
while.
just go away for a little bit, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I think that is probably his sweet spot is come in and just be big for a little bit
Yeah.
in supporting roles. But that sounds like I'm being insulting, like saying, "Hey,
I
limit
know,
yourself."
no, I know.
But really, what I'm saying is like you're best when you're doing things big. I think, and big comes
But
better
in
in small
little,
doses. Yeah,
it comes better in
yeah.
small
You're
doses.
you're a
Exactly.
strong seasoning, so don't over season. Yeah.
Don't overseason it. There you go. That's the best way to explain it.
Yep. Andy, once again for comedy, I think critics have been pretty high on this one. 78%
Yeah,
from the critics, 80% from audiences, so it's been received pretty well. But I
yeah.
am curious. Once again, same thing as Black Phone 2. I saw $30 million for the budget of this one. What can you tell me about how this one's doing at the box office?
This movie did not find its audience. It opened to $6 million.
Ooh,
Yeah, it had a pretty. It was like number four, I think, for the weekend, and it's not gonna. It's gonna have a big decline this coming weekend. It just is. So it's not doing much, which is really unfortunate. And we're talking about whether we need more Aziz Ansari content. I mean, sounds like maybe
that,
they won't be so quick to.
yeah, that might answer the question right there.
Yeah, yeah, which is unfortunate. It was just also interesting, like, you know, 2000. What's the 40-year version? 2005. So like Knocked Up's like 2007 or 2008. Pineapple Express is somewhere around there too. I mean, Seth Rogen used to be like a guaranteed like 30 or 40 million dollar opening weekend. You just throw his name and face up on the poster, and it was a guaranteed big deal. And he's not like that anymore. And Ballerina, I think, underperformed a little bit earlier this year. And I don't know. It's just kind of an interesting to look at these three guys and see this movie with such a soft opening.
Yeah, I mean the biggest thing that's probably changed as far as that goes in modern times is that comedy movies have just kind of died at theaters. We've talked about it a
They
little bit
have.
before. It's not just Seth Rogen who used to be able to open movies and can't anymore. There's not many guys doing comedy who can. I mean, even that might be part of the thing that's kept Sandler at Netflix is he hasn't had to try to open a movie at the box office in a long time because he's just been doing Netflix stuff. But I don't know who I could name that is a comedy person that's opening movies real big. I mean, late 90s or all through the 90s and the 2000s or the aughts, you could name five or six comedians, at a time that were really going strong. You had your Sandlers and Jim Carreys and Chris Farley's and all of that in the 90s, and then like you said, you got the Rogans and the you got Paul Rudd, you got Vince Vaughn and Owen Wilson. You used to
I
have
was
a
gonna say
bunch of people, Ben Stiller,
Will Ferrell.
Will Ferrell. And right now, if you're like, who are the people in comedy that can open a movie right now? And I
There's
don't know. I
nobody.
don't know if I could name a single one.
There's nobody. I honestly couldn't even tell you what Will Ferrell's last movie was. And for a hot minute there, he was the king.
He was
I truly don't know what his last movie was.
honestly like the only people that are really doing it are people who are existing in IP to do it. Like maybe
Yeah.
you could argue Jack Black, but look at the movies he's opening. It's a Jumanji movie and a Minecraft movie and
Yep,
soon to be an
exactly.
Anaconda
They're not
movie.
Jack Black
Yeah,
movies
exactly.
anymore.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things where it's like, are we not getting comedies because they're not performing, or are they not performing because comedy is kind of like, I don't know what the I don't know. It's weird.
I think that comedies were the first and kind of most obvious victim of the streaming era. I think that if
They
you
were.
want to laugh, there's no reason you have to go to the theater to see it. I mean,
Yeah, and I wonder how much like TikTok and YouTube, like short 30-second clips. I wonder how much that has hurt comedy movies.
yeah,
Because like my boys, like they think it's so much funnier to send an Instagram reel, of a 20, 30-second clip of something funny than it is to sit and watch a funny movie.
yeah. I mean, I think you're 100% right.
Yeah, I think that's a big part of it. And not to get too deep, but I think comedy has just suffered from our overly politically correct world now, where everyone's so afraid to hurt feelings and step on toes and stuff. There used to be an edginess to comedy that was, when done right, was funny. And I feel like that's kind of died a little bit. And I mean, really, comedy, it feels like is in a really bad place right now, to me.
It does, because even if I think about like who are still our most present, because you can't really say successful, but your most present comedic actors, they're all older. They're all sort of the remnants of when it still did work. You know, Sandler still is one of our most present comedic filmmakers, even though he's only
You're
doing it
right.
on
He's tied
Netflix.
to Netflix now. He just wants
Yeah,
to do Netflix
but
stuff.
like, you know, who's the last SNL cast member to spin off and become the next big thing? I mean, they've it feels like they've tried to make Pete Davidson work in that role, and it just
It's
hasn't.
not doing it. It's not
Yeah,
working. You know, Andy Samberg tried it for a while, and I love Andy Samberg, but like, you know, Hot Rod failed. I mean, I think it found like an audience on
yeah,
DVD and
it's
stuff,
a
and they tried to
cult
do.
classic, but
Excuse me. You can tell it's fall time because we're coughing and sneezing. The Lonely Island, which includes Andy Samberg, you know, they tried to do that. What was that, like Pop Star Never Stop?
yeah, which
Popping
again I
or
thought was
something
really
like that.
funny, but didn't.
It's really
didn't do
funny.
well.
It bombed. Like Dewey Cox, you know, John C. Riley tried to do that. That didn't do well. The Naked Gun did end up kind of creeping along to be a decent hit this summer. So I don't know. It seems like it's in a bad place, and it also just seems like it's in a really unpredictable place. You know,
Yeah,
because when they started advertising Naked Gun, and I heard they were doing that, I thought, boy, this is no one's going to go see this, and this is going to be one of the worst movies of the year. And I think, pretty sure I'm right about this. I think worldwide it ended up at almost $100 million, and people kind of did like it. I thought it was kind of dumb fun. So my point is just like I'm just not sure anymore. I mean, who would have thought Liam Neeson would swoop in and be in one of the most successful comedies this year when guys like Tim Robinson and now Rogan and Aziz Ansari and all them are kind of falling on their face.
yeah, yeah,
It's weird. And, you know, we had Steve Carell for a while, but then he seems to want to be more, you know, do more dramatic roles. Like he did that Mountainhead or whatever that movie was this year, which I hated. But,
yeah.
you know,
I think.
I don't know.
Andy, I'll be honest. I think that was supposed to be a comedy.
Yeah, right. So yeah, like if I'm in Hollywood and someone asked me like what genre is in the most trouble right now, I would probably be inclined to say comedy.
Yeah, it's unfortunate.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I don't know. You would think
Yeah. And
that.
I don't have the answer.
Yeah, I mean, again, part of me thinks like it's so hard to believe because it's got to be lower budget, so lower risk, like horror
Yeah.
movies. But then again, it's the what's the need to go see the movie element? You know, with horror movies, you go into the dark theater, you got the sound and like the scares
Hmm.
pop more and all of that. In comedy, it can
Yeah.
be fun to watch in theater. Like almost the only thing that makes things better in a theater for comedy is if you have a full room of people laughing.
And
And you get
everyone's
that,
just laughing.
but because you don't get packed theaters very much anymore,
Yeah.
that experience is gone. If I go into a theater and it's me and five people watching a comedy, it doesn't make it funnier. It actually sometimes feels a little sad.
A little awkward. Well, and now like, you know, whoever is the next big comedian, you go on Netflix. On Netflix now, they have their own complete section for stand up.
Yeah.
So it's like you can just sit, like we've already talked about, you can just sit at home and watch these guys do their stand up act, you know, which is a lot of times, you know, it's showcasing the best and funniest bits that they have. You know what the big test will be is, I think in early 2026, Nate Bargatze has a movie coming out that's a comedy that's
Yeah.
trying to capitalize on his success that he's found like on Netflix and stuff. So if that doesn't work, then I really do think comedy is in trouble because Nate Bargatze kind of has universal appeal, it seems like, with people. People really like him and he's funny. And if he can't open a comedy movie right now, then I don't know who the answer is.
Yeah, that'll be really,
I think that'll be telling.
really interesting to see for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, yeah. And I guess my big question is, Andy, when eventually we get a Theo Vaughn movie, are you going to be there for that?
The question isn't whether I'll be there. It's how early will I get my tickets and how excited will I? Maybe that's the answer. Just unleash Theo Vaughn onto the movie screens and just let nature take its course.
There you go.
You know what I really fear is going to happen is that they're going to get desperate. So then we're just going to start. We're going to get like Elf 2 or something, you know, that nobody is asking for. You know, Dodgeball 2, or they're going to start trying. You know, another Pineapple Express. They're just going to get desperate and go back to what was working 10, 15, 20 years ago. And I don't think that's helpful. I mean, I think we saw that with Happy Gilmore too.
Yeah, to say Andy, I don't think you're describing some distant future. I think those things are already happening. I mean, we got a Dumb and
Yeah.
Dumber 2 not too long ago. It's
That's true. Yeah, and that was miserable failure. And
yeah,
yeah, we just don't have our Jim Carreys, and we just don't have these guys anymore for whatever reason. It's a bummer.
it is.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for joining us for this episode of Analyzing Comedies in Hollywood.
Yeah, now that we've got everyone depressed about the state of comedy, we'll get out of here.
Yeah, Good Fortune's kind of a feel-good movie, and we did not give it a feel-good podcast.
No, we did not. But we got to be real and honest about what's going on.
Absolutely. So yeah, I would recommend to people to check out Good Fortune. I think it's a good hangout movie. I think it'd be a fun one to just watch with friends.
I agree.
But we're nothing if not honest. I'll tell you, as much as I want movies to succeed, and that involves going to see movies in theaters, if you wait to catch Good Fortune till it comes to your home,
You'll be
it'll
all
be
right.
fine.
You'll be okay. You really will. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you, Andy, so much for coming on late at night and recording this episode with me. And
Glad to do it.
yeah, thank you everybody for listening. Let us know what you think about Good Fortune. Let us know. Here's the poll question I need to put out there. Who's your favorite comedic actor going right now?
Oh, that would be good. I'd like to see some answers there.
Yeah, so let us know what you think there. And then this coming weekend, I don't know if it's any big releases for us. The big releases this weekend are the Springsteen movie, which we both talked about. Not necessarily Springsteen people or biopic guys. I'll go see it. I've got some friends that are excited to see it who are Springsteen fans, so I'm going to go with them. And then the other one is that Regretting You movie, which again we're probably not the target demographic for, but I'll be very curious to see. That seems like two movies that might be hits because there are groups of people who could be passionate about it.
Could be. There's also a movie coming out that I'm very much the target audience for, which is Shelby Oaks.
Right. Yes. Somehow I forgot about them. There it is. Yeah.
Definitely seeing that.
Yeah. So maybe a little something for everybody this weekend.
Could be.
Yeah.
I hope so. Like we said it a billion times, we want theaters to succeed.
Absolutely. So yeah, go see one of those movies, people. Pick the one that suits you best. Go watch a movie.
Go check it out for sure.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us for this episode. We'll see you guys next time.
See you soon.